So I think that was a pretty easy round for you, for sure.
I probably deserved that after the shocker I had
No
for
way,
the first
no way.
time.
All
Okay.
right, my go, let's go. All right.
Hello to all the new viewers out there that have come over from Amy Louise. You may be wondering who the person actually is in this video. Well, my name's Amy Louise and I'm the co-founder and president of Prac-E. But what is Prac-E? Well, Prac-E is an initiative that was begun by beginning teachers for beginning teachers. We aim to support pre-service and early career educators through best-in-class digital media and in-person symposium events. I hope you like this interview, and if you like what you see, why not head over to our website at www.prace.com. Check us out, see what we're all about, and if you want to join the Prac-E community, head into our contact form on our homepage, chuck in your email, and that'll be the best way to keep in contact with me and the Prac-E team. We'll let you know all about our new blog posts, articles and videos, and let you know when we'll be in town for the next Prac-E symposium. I hope to see you over there, but until then, let's get on with the video.
What's up, Prac-Es? It's Liam and Lysiums here for another episode of the Classroom Nightmare Teacher Hack Challenge. And we're joined, my opponent today is Amy Louise from the Australian TeacherTube community. Thank you for coming in and spending some time with us
Thanks
today.
for having me, Liam. I'm very excited about today.
So, what the rules are, we have 3 piles of cards, and these cards have different things on them about a class that you might have as a teacher. This pile is the type of class that you might have, so the grade and their personality type. This middle pile is the time of day that you would hypothetically have that class, from period 1 Monday all the way to last period on a Friday. And this pile is something that's drastically wrong with your lesson, that's just been thrust upon you and you need to sort it out. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to take it in turns, picking one from each pile and offering our solution as to how to overcome that as a teacher. Does that sound good?
Sounds fantastic.
All right, so since I'm the host, I'll go first.
You should definitely go first.
Okay, so I have overachieving grade 10s, period 1 after a public holiday, and one student has an aggressive outburst. Okay. So overachieving grade 10s, I find sometimes that when students are overachieving, it's almost harder to teach them than they're underachieving. Supporting gifted students is something that probably, I think, needs more attention on it, so I find it quite difficult. Now, period 1 after a public holidays just upset everything, and usually any type of change for a student just derails the whole week. Usually on a day like that, you'll have last minute room changes, maybe half of Tuesday's schedule and the last half of Wednesday's schedule, and they might do something that will upset the rhythm of all your students. And then to compound that, one of my students has had an aggressive outburst. So I've got pretty bad luck with this one. So hopefully that they're overachieving might give me probably a better chance of regaining control after the aggressive outburst. So obviously if a student's being aggressive, you need to separate them from the situation. So whether that be giving them a cool down time outside the class, you can't just let something go. So thankfully they're overachieving, so I can get them probably going on with some sort of one-on-one work where they can just get back onto it while I isolate the student and see what's actually going on. Hopefully they won't be too rowdy after a public holiday.
They've probably worked all weekend on a piece of assessment, so they're just going to come in and want to show you their work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably what's going to be happening.
Maybe they could show each other what they've done. And
yeah,
then from
they can
there,
give each other peer feedback while you're settling the other student.
From there, I'll go out and check what's going on with them and see. Usually, there's always a reason why students had an outburst. I'll be able to identify what's going on from there and then try and reintegrate them and maybe come up with a solution for them ongoing. So maybe if they have regular outbursts, they can maybe have show me a card or something rather than making a scene in front of everybody. And then from there, I'll just follow it up after the lesson. That's what I'll do probably.
Yeah, and I think it really depends on your students as well. As in, if this is a student that may be doing this often, then maybe you need to be having a look at the bigger issue.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. Good job.
Okay.
My turn.
Your turn. Are you primary?
I'm primary.
Primary, okay. So
but don't worry, I think we can apply everything. All right.
Ignore the grades if there's
okay.
something.
Board grade 12, so I might go board grade 6s.
Yeah.
because I don't really have grade 12.
So
I don't really know what.
Seniors that can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they've just checked out.
I think I've got some bored grade 6s at the moment. All right, let's see. I'll just mix these up a little bit. Who have I got? All right, after PE. Actually, this sounds about right. After PE. No, they go to music after PE. All right, and this one, what have we got? All right, impromptu assembly has cut the first 20 minutes of your lesson. Oh, that's great, because that will, stem, or it'll stop the boredom. All right, guys, that's PE, and now we're going to assembly, and they'll be like, oh, how boring. Well, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to do anything about that because I've got to take them to assembly. But I guess after assembly and after PE, hopefully they've had a little bit of relaxed time and running around, so maybe they're not so bored anymore and they can come back and we can actually focus on something. But if I've got bored grade 6s, let's say, in my classroom, then I've got to really reflect on what I'm doing, because why are my students bored? My students shouldn't be bored while they're learning. They should be engaged in what we're doing. So I think I'd have to really reflect on how I'm teaching if I have bored students. Luckily, my students don't seem to be very bored at the moment. I think my students at the moment are very high achieving students, actually. So if they're bored, I'm not challenging them enough. And that comes back down to how I teach, I guess. After
PE and then assembly, it's just any type of change to the normal schedule. They're like horses. If there's a bit of wind, they just spook for the whole lesson, and then it's hard to regain control.
I think if you try and go back into a normal lesson after you've got all these interruptions, then you probably will lose them. I think that you should put something in there that's fun, that's still going to engage them, and then there's still some learning happening, but because you've already interrupted your lesson anyway, then you really kind of can't just jump back in, because they're like, oh, we didn't want to do this, and then they want to do something fun. So maybe a more fun lesson on a variation of what you're going to do in the first place.
All right, I had a shocker last round, so let's see if I can actually get something a bit better. Okay, immature grade 10s. I know those very well. I have them Tuesday after morning tea, and the majority of the students are away. That's actually...
Oh, that's all right.
That's all right, actually.
That's probably a good thing.
Grade 10, I've found the biggest struggle for me, because they're usually separated from the 7, 8, 9 group now, and they identify themselves with the 10, 11, 12s.
Yeah, they want to be those seniors.
Yeah, and they want to be the big boys, but they probably don't know what that actually means. So 11 and 12s are usually the most mature, and they usually help you out even in lessons, whereas 10s, they have an idea of what a senior means, and to them that just means that they can get away with everything. So I know those very well from my time in the classroom. Tuesday after morning teas, probably a pretty good middle of the road type of lesson. I would never mind having Tuesday after morning teas, so that doesn't really factor into my thinking too much. And then the majority of my students being away, that's probably actually a good thing with grade 10s. It's interesting to see the dynamics of a classroom change when even just one student's away. The dynamics of a classroom are so fragile. So the majority of them being away, I mean, if it's a naughty class, so to speak, that can actually be the really great time to get maybe I can have some more one-on-one teaching that you can't afford when there's 25, 30 kids you have to worry about.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll probably do one-on-one draft feedback or something along those lines, where I can really delve deep into what they're struggling with the content, and then go forward from there.
And I guess you'd be able to really target teach or tailor that learning to those particular students, especially if you knew that they were going to be away, and you know that you're going to be planning something that's going to engage those kids, but then also improve in the areas that they need improvement. So I think that was a pretty easy round for you, for sure.
I probably deserved that after the shocker I had.
No way. All right, my go, let's go. All right, I don't want to look because I'll make it either too hard or too easy. Okay, excited grade 7s. Okay, I can deal with that. I bet they're girls too. All right, after lunch. Okay, so something's happened at lunch. And what else have we got? The internet is down. All right, that's okay, because I think that I could probably do things without the internet and go old school, because, sometimes if you've got the skills as the teacher, you don't need the internet. And actually, a lot of technology doesn't mean that you always need the internet anyway, but kids don't always have to be on their iPads or their phones or computers. You can actually calm down, excited year 7s without the internet, and what better to then give them a paper and pen lesson to make them less excited. But actually, if kids are excited about something, then maybe work with the excitement and get them really engaged in what they're doing, because if kids are excited, maybe something's happening. So for example, in my classroom at the moment, we have Pepper. Yeah. And I don't know if you know anything about Pepper, but she's this life-size robot that my students are actually learning to program. And Pepper's been teasing me a little bit, but my kids were very, very excited about getting her to talk back to me and teasing me about eating too much chocolate. So they're very excited. They couldn't stop touching her and trying to code her and get her to play music. And so why not use that enthusiasm and excitement to then get kids excited about what they're learning about. So I think having excited grade 7s or whatever grade they are is a fantastic time for teachers. Yeah. It's better than your kids being bored, like my other challenge. After lunch, well, it depends if it's in primary school, first break or second break. If it's after second break, sometimes they're a little bit tired. So if they're excited, then great, because you can actually still get their attention and engage them for the rest of the day. If the internet is down, well, actually, there are a lot of programs like in that Pepper, you don't actually need the internet to then be able to use the program. And so, back to paper and pen or hands-on, we're using the EV3 robots and the NTX, I think that's what they're called, but they're like Lego, and you build them and then you can code or program them without any without any internet to then make these things move and do all the things that you want to do. Yeah. Or, get out some concrete materials and get kids to be playing with them or building things. We built bridges a few months ago with straws, and that was fantastic. Yeah. So who needs the internet? And, if your kids are excited, then your teacher is excited, and as long as everyone's safe and no one's getting hurt, then great, let's run with it.
Yeah. All right, sounds like a great lesson. Let's see if I can follow that up. All right, my last round, let's see what I have. Okay. Shy and quiet grade 8s. Interesting. A Thursday double lesson. And there's a last minute room change. All right, so last minute room change is my horror lesson. Everyone's got the cliche horror lesson that they always bring out. I was on Prac, and then I had a very last minute room change, but then that room was already being used. And then we went to the library, but then the grade 12 was having a presentation in there. So we literally had nowhere to go. And it was about 3/4 now through the lesson. We're just walking around trying to find any spare space. Kids are fighting in the garden. You go, no, John, come on, hurry up. So a last minute room change, especially if there's something drastically wrong like that, can really derail a lesson. But hopefully that they're shy and quiet. I mean, introverted classes are kind of an anomaly, but they're really interesting when you get them. I find it, I was saying in the last video that if someone's just explicitly naughty, that's almost easier than if someone's kind of really reserved, especially if you're trying to encourage participation and things like that. So maybe a last minute room change, if we have to kind of get up and go to another part of the school, maybe that movement might get them up and about. Yeah. Maybe even it might encourage them to a bit of activity. And then for a double lesson, hopefully I have all the resources that I need and I've planned, especially if there's a last minute room change. So I always say for beginning teachers to have a little pack, because I know some teachers are very protective over their resources and bring them with them wherever they're going. So if you have a room change, you need to ensure that you've planned for maybe the worst case scenario where you can teach no matter where you are. Yep. And then for a double lesson, maybe that first lesson I might, since they're up and about and we've probably wasted time going there, I might do something open-ended questions, or maybe a bit of group work, or something that doesn't have to rely on too much specific timing, something kind of open-ended that they can get on with. And then halfway,
and maybe some collaborative work as well, because if you've got students working in groups and they're working collaboratively, you have an inquiry question, for example, whatever subject it is, and that sounds good.
And then halfway through the double, they'll have a break, and then we can reset. They'll be used to their surroundings, and then I can get on with the hardcore content that you usually get through on a double.
Yeah, so and maybe you actually have your room back by then.
Yeah, who knows where we're going for the second double. That's another thing.
And actually, especially if it's a double lesson, I'm just thinking for high school, if you've got a double lesson, then it's probably good to actually have a bit of change of scenery, just to keep them awake and excited about what's happening.
I struggled with doubled lessons when I was a student. And then, yeah, Thursday, I put that in there because I still have PTSD about double maths on a Thursday morning.
It's actually so strange how funny, how different it is in a high school compared to what it is in a primary, because you basically have the same room all day long and you have those kids pretty much all day long.
Yeah.
And so a double lesson, for you guys, it might be, 1.5 hours?
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah,
it could be even up to 2.
Yeah, so every morning I have my kids for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And when you're in primary, you need to be mixing it up all the time. So especially in the lower years, you really only want 15-minute sessions and everything.
Yeah.
For me, in my teaching for the first 2 hour in our literacy block, we've got half an hour, half an hour, half an hour, and half an hour. And you have to keep mixing it up so that students are moving, they're doing different activities, so that they're not sitting there staring at you teach that whole time. So it's really important to mix it up, get them doing different things in that whole block.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. All right. Let's see your last round.
One. All right, here we go. So Too Cool for grade 11.
So 2 cool students that kind of...
I've got some Too Cool students.
Yeah.
Monday period 1. Okay, that's fine. That actually can be, and then what's this one? AV is not working.
Audio visual, so projectors down, audio's down, no PowerPoints, nothing.
That's all right, because we do literacy block on a Monday, period 1 or session 1, and Too Cool for grade, let's go 6, or even some of my year 5s maybe. I've got a multi-age class, so I teach 4, 5 and 6 in the one class, except my kids this year are, let's just say, high achievers, also known as, I won't say it, but they're very driven and they love school. Let's say that. So I don't think they're going to be too cool. Although when the year 6s get to this time in their school year, they seem to get a little bit too cool, and they think they're the seniors of the school and they're a little bit better than everybody else and don't always want to toe the line. So I guess if I've got Too Cool for school kids and it's the first session on a Monday and they come in, they've had a good weekend with all their friends and they're super cool, I think maybe knocking them down a peg and say, hey, you're back at school, this is what we're doing. And then technology is not working, I don't really mind that, because my block on a Monday morning is literacy block, so I can do all of that without any technology at all. It's spelling and reading and then English, which can all be done without any technology. The only thing is that if they need to access any materials on Shobi or on their iPads and that's not working, that can sometimes be a bit of an issue. But then you have to be able to modify your lessons in an instant and just adjust as you go. So good teachers will be able to just think on the spot and be able to come up with something when those things don't happen. So I guess that's what I did notice in some of the Prac students that I have had, is they can't quite think on their feet yet. And that's really the difference between experienced teachers and then Prac students, is what we see is they're like, oh no, the technology's not working, which actually happened to one of my Prac students. And they looked at me like, what do I do? And I'm like, all right, this is what we're going to do, guys. You go here, you go here. This is what we're doing. And then it all worked out. But having that experience comes when you actually have been teaching for a little while. So Prac students might experience that.
I think the message of this challenge is that, can you imagine all the classes going on in a big school at once? The fact that all of those go perfect without a hitch is almost impossible.
Impossible.
As a teacher, there's always going to be a curveball, whether it be the internet being down, AV being down, room changes, or students having aggressive outbursts. There's always going to be something that you're going to have to overcome. And I think having that toolkit and that resilience to kind of take things and roll with the punches is a really big step as a teacher.
Definitely. And it all really comes down to classroom management, behaviour management, and understanding that not everything's going to work like the lesson that you might have planned as a Prac student. It doesn't work like that. But you need to be able to adjust and modify your lessons instantly and keep it all calm at the same time, and make sure that you look like you're the one in control, because if your students can see that you're not in control, then you've lost them. They've got they don't have any faith in you anymore. So if you freak out, your kids won't trust you anymore.
All right, well, based on our answers, I think I'll deem you as the winner.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you did really well too. We're both winners here.
So that's all we have time for today. Hopefully we see you at the next episode of the Teacher Hack Challenge, and we'll see you next time.